Good morning, everyone. Full house, which is great. I couldn't get in the room when I first got here. I think it cleared out a little bit once people saw my name on the agenda. So if you got a seat after the break, you're welcome. So my name is Bob Valente. I'm with GSA. Just some quick background on me. I've been with the government 13 years, and the last 10 have been with GSA. All have been in contracting or somehow related to contracting. Do we have any contracting officers here today? Severely outnumbered. Take it easy on me. And on your local COs, we mean well. I know there's sometimes that adversarial relationship between program and technical and contracting, so we'll hopefully help you work through that. Anyway, my new role is in category management. I work under the office management category. Show of hands, how many people are familiar with category management or have heard of it? Good. So my new role is, again, under the office management category, which records management falls under. So kind of a dual role here. I'm also a contracting officer, so and lead a lot of our ERM and records management initiatives. So here to promote that and the GSA solution. So first I'll start off. Our records management solution, it does fall under the schedules program. So just for those who aren't as familiar, I'll go through a quick overview of that. Several names that it's often referred to as: multiple award schedules, MAS, federal supply schedules, FSS, GSA schedules, or just schedules. They all mean the same thing, just different terminology. These are government-wide contract vehicles. Again, category management. So if you're familiar with that, government-wide means Tier 2 solution, which is good. There's Tier 1, which is an agency-wide solution. Tier 2 is government-wide, and Tier 3 are your best-in-class solutions. So there are no best-in-class solutions presently for records management, so this is the highest tiered solution for records management. These are multiple award IDIQ contracts with a 5-year base period and 3 5-year option periods. They are pre-negotiated ceiling prices, and then you would expect additional discounting at the order level. And those additional discounts would vary based on the dollar value, complexity, and those factors. We work to pre-qualify vendors, so we're looking at financials, past performance. We do a responsibility determination, so we eliminate some of the steps to help streamline the procurement. And we also provide access to small businesses. Many of our vendors, I think 43 of our 52 vendors under our ERM offering are small. So if you're looking to meet your small business goals, this is a great way to do that. And one important factor, fairly significant, is that we're currently going through a consolidation process. So we technically still have 24 schedules, and we are consolidating them down to 1. And I will get into more detail about that. So the goal of the consolidation is really to make life easier for our customers and our industry partners. So again, we're consolidating down from 24 to 1. We're looking to modernize and simplify the buying and selling experience. And we're currently in phase 1 of this process. So phase 1 was to create the actual overarching solicitation and schedule. That part is done. So if you're a schedule contractor presently or looking to become one in the future, you'll see that schedule solicitation has been streamlined significantly. There are subcategories within the schedules program called SINs, or special item numbers. You'll still see a similar structure to that. They may be renamed or renumbered for records management. We're hoping that they stay the same, but just something to keep an eye out for. If anything, they would be renamed to the NAICS for records management. So how will this affect our records management offerings? Schedule 36 has traditionally been the schedule where records management falls under. Again, you may see these aligned according to the NAICS for those records management solutions, but for the most part, there isn't going to be a significant change other than the fact that we're hoping this makes your lives easier from a buying and selling experience. So it really should just be a formatting change, but something to keep an eye out for as those phases progress. The second phase is to update all of any terms and conditions. It will give the vendor community an opportunity to select additional SINs. So as you probably know, there's a lot of crossover between records management and IT. So this would enable vendors to pull in those other categories, making it easier for them to quote on different requirements. And then vice versa, easier for customer agencies to say, okay, I need to solicit here, but I don't want to award separate contracts. I want it all to be filtered under one. So that's the goal. So our MAS records management solutions, Courtney touched on this a bit, but so historically, records management has always fallen under Schedule 36, but the primary focus was definitely on physical records management. And we were approached by NARA and have begun working with them very closely and decided that we needed to delineate between physical and electronic records. So we did that. We revised the structure. I mentioned special item numbers or SINs. I'll be probably mentioning that a few times. So we went from one SIN, 51504, to two, one for 51504, which remained physical records management, and then 51600, which is now our electronic records management. We have 80 vendors under physical and 52 under ERM. Which, this became effective in October of 2017. So in 2 years' time, we've added 52 vendors, which for the government, awarding that number of contracts in 2 years is impressive. So as Courtney also mentioned, we incorporated the NARA Universal Records Management Standards into the solicitation. So when you're using this vehicle, you're more likely to be in compliance. As Courtney said, you should still do your due diligence to confirm that they're in compliance. But the vendors are self-certifying through our capability certification, and we're relying on them to review these 11 elements and the NARA Universal Standards. They all tie together. This little chart here is pulled directly from the certification form. So vendors use this chart to select those elements that they're capable of complying with. That certification form then becomes part of their contract. Those certification forms are available on GSA eLibrary. They're also available on the market research discovery tool that Courtney mentioned, and that I'll be touching on a bit more later. So this is really just a good way to condense everything, summarize what vendors are capable of what, and showcasing that to our customers. And as those universal ERM standards change, we'll be working with NAR to make sure that they're updated in the solicitation, and then vice versa, and conversely also into the schedule contracts. So total solutions for records management. So we talk about M1921 and how this solution can help you get there as a customer. So there are several, ERM is a big piece of the pie, but there are other things that always, dovetail into, as I'm sure you all know, into that records management requirement and procurement. So we've been urged by our industry partners to really push a needs assessment analysis up front. They've said, both in government and commercial instances, they've seen customers kind of back into a solution that they kind of had in their minds going into it. So really studying what you have, where you need to be, and how to get there through a needs assessment has been strongly encouraged by industry. So we have a SIN for that. We have document conversion services, or your digitization. NARA has mentioned coming out with digitization standards similar to the universal ERM standards. So once they're available, we will incorporate those into the solicitation as well, and hopefully we'll have those vendors, we'll have a similar self-certification process for that. There's a SIN also for destruction services, so you're shredding. This is clearly part of M1921. There will be some legacy files that don't need to be stored or scanned in for storage purposes. And then we have, I mentioned, the ERM SIN and the physical records management SIN for storage services. M1921 mentions moving hard copy or analog files from agency facilities to commercial storage facilities. So that's where you would seek that support. So through GSA has a solicitation tool. Hopefully you're familiar with that. It is GSA eBuy, and so that's the easiest way really to pull all of these subcategories or SINs into one solicitation and to procure exactly what you need and not just one element of your requirement. And I just wanted to offer our support. GSA is more than happy if you're a customer agency or even industry. We're happy to go through the GSA eBuy tools. We have GSA eLibrary and Discovery, which is our market research tool. I'll touch briefly on those. But first, I just wanted to talk about what's next. And this dovetails nicely into what Courtney was saying. So we realized, we definitely needed a solution. We talked to NARA about that a few years ago. We really wanted to bring more attention to the ERM and have a solution available for customers. So that was necessary. But what we're finding now is, the tool's there, the solution is there, great. But how do we use it, and how do we navigate that process? We have contracting officers, we have program folks. How do we get them to work together, and how do they navigate the process as a team? So what we want to do and where we see this going, and we've already been working closely with NARA and customers to kind of build requirements. We're reviewing requirements documents, giving notes on RFQ samples to try to get them there. But we really want to put pen to paper and get something and make something available so that we don't have to go through that iterative process every time, although we may need to an extent because of just the variability of the different ERM requirements. We just really want to make this easy for customers. So our plan is to offer some training, develop that training first off, develop a sample document library. NARA is really working on that already on the requirement side, but we think we can add some value on the acquisition side with some RFQ samples that really kind of span the different elements of ERM and physical records management. And then some ordering guides, and really this whole roadmap is a type of ordering guide, but some based on the different types of requirements, maybe how you would approach them, where you would start, who you would bring into the conversation. So that's where we're going there. And then industry engagement. We had an industry day at GSA headquarters here in DC about 2 years ago. It might be time to have another event similar to that. But also on the customer side, letting GSA know what vendors are not currently on schedule and available to you. You may have an incumbent vendor who you really want to include in a solicitation, but they're not there. So, introduce us to those vendors. We're happy to work with them. They do have to go through the process, and I mentioned we did 52 in 2 years. So we're trying to expedite. This is very high visibility and on our radar, and we really want to make progress fast to make this solution as good as it can be. So we want your feedback too. I mentioned the vendors, talk to us about that. If you have sample documents that you think are already good and you can share, you're able to share, we'll pull all of those together. We'll probably host that on the GSA Gateway and possibly some other areas. NARA may have some outlets so we could share them there as well. But we just want to make everything available. But any suggestions, even if it's, the solicitation isn't working or this vendor certification, we can add to it. Please let us know. We are very proactive, but we will react as well based on your feedback. So I mentioned the Discovery Market Research tool. We did that. That was probably about 6 months ago, and I won't spend too much time. Courtney mentioned it as well, but you can really go use this tool at the earliest stage of your requirement. Once you know you have that requirement, you can go to this tool, look at what vendors are available, which of the 11 elements they offer. You can pull up previous contract awards that each company has had. There's a lot of content there. It's all pulled from the Federal Procurement Data System, FPDS. So please use that, and if you have any questions, again, let us know. So this is that front page. Courtney already touched on this. Just wanted to point out the ERM. There are 5 tools currently available on Discovery. ERM is on the bottom right-hand corner. You can also just search in the search field there. Just put records management. It'll pull up our contracts. This is GSA eLibrary. Good tool. It provides kind of the scope description. So if you have a requirement, you can just kind of verify that it fits within this SIN. You can also send scope reviews to GSA, and we're happy to do that for you. GSA also offers a free market research service where we will post your requirements to GSA eBuy in the form of a request for information or sources sought notice, and really do a lot of that market research for the customer. And then this is the GSA eBuy front page. Some of it was cut off, but I just wanted to point out that this is used by vendors and customers. So vendors get automated notifications every time an RFQ or RFI is posted under the ERM SIN or the other SINs I mentioned. And then lastly, actually I have one more slide after this, but this is something important that Courtney also mentioned, but the President's Management Agenda is really front and center on the M1921 memo. It supports the transformational goals of the PMA and its 14 cross-agency priority goals. We're responsible for goal 3, strategy 3, sharing quality services, and one of those goals is the increased adoption of the ERM SIN. So there's a lot of visibility here, a lot of attention and focus placed on this program. So really, by using this solution, you're supporting the PMA, the NARA universal NARA standards, and so you're really hitting, and category management principles, so you're really hitting a lot of check marks there. And then lastly, just kind of a call to action for vendors and customers. GSA created 2 new PSC codes, the product and service codes. That's what PSC stands for. These are really important to help us track data. It's important for records officers. It's important from a category management standpoint. So please, I know there are no COs here. I already found that out the hard way. But so please let your contracting shops know it's important that when they're loading contracts in FPDS that they're using these PSCs. We would really appreciate it. And If you have any questions, I will be participating here, but please feel free to reach out to recordsmanagement@gsa.gov. Thank you very much for your time.